that's who I am. So, and I'm glad we skipped that part and didn't record it. So anyway, if you just want to roll through the slides, the VBOC is responsible for the 3 different states, and I see Dustin is on here. I'm considered the new Dustin so far. It's I don't, there's no other um, way to put it. He had been here and done such a great job, but I was able to work with him on in Utah when I was doing basically the same thing there, but just for the state. So this center handles Montana, Wyoming, and Utah. And you can just keep rolling and try to figure out when I'm going to tell you to move forward. The mission, it's very simple. We're here for the veterans, and your service is paid for our service. That's the bottom line. We work with other resources to make sure that you're able to connect, and just keep rolling. It's good. And one more. There we go. Now this is going to be one of those ones where you're going to keep clicking. So we're in Wyoming, we're in Montana, like I said. We handle the Apex. We're working with the the SBA, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. We work with them closely. And just the NASDVA is the National Association of State Directors of Veteran Affairs. So in each state, you have an office out of the governor's office, pretty much that we work with them and help make sure that the veterans that they get to us also. And then also veteran service organizations, anything from Warrior Rising to Bunker Labs to Syracuse University here. We developed a really neat relationship with them, and we'll get in more detail over that because there were 2 areas that I wanted to touch on. One was the Veteran Readiness Employment, which used to be called VOC Rehab, and now it's called Veteran Readiness and Employment. So when we start going through these relationships, the first one I wanted to touch on was the Syracuse University. They have what's called a veteran, or the Institute of Veteran Military Families. And you can roll forward. And then the other one is like I said, the VRNE. There we go. So what we've been able to do is get a relationship with Syracuse University. They were one of the ones that helped develop the Boots to Business program, which is part of the TAP as you transition out of the military. And that is also used in the reboot world for people that have been out for a while. We do the reboots, which is just a refresher course. But the next level up, it was kind of a hole there. So what we did with Syracuse is create a course that's offered in hybrid. There's, I think, 4 or 6 universities or colleges across the United States. The one that we operated through is at Salt Lake Community College. However, I'm the lead instructor. I remained the lead instructor on that course. So keeping rolling there. Yeah, it's called the STRIVE program. The story of Syracuse is really interesting as far as I'm concerned. And of course, I'm kind of a history buff, but their chancellor, who was president, equivalent of a president of the university, at the end of World War II, he helped write the GI Bill, and then he opened the doors at Syracuse University to any veteran coming back from the war. So he had 9,000 veterans sign up and start going to school there. Now their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren have all created this tradition at Syracuse University. So they have, a lot of those people have graduated and have given back. Right now, the IVMF raises more money a year than the athletic department at Syracuse. Pretty impressive. That building there is the Syracuse, the IVMF, which is built solely. Just opened about a year ago. It opened with $60 million in donations from alumni, veteran alumni. So now you can go on. They created this institute back in 2011-12. Once that launched, you can see there that the program has served now over 200,000 veterans. They've gone through their programs. Yeah, you keep clicking on. There you go. And these are the type of relationships they have. And just, you know, the circles will pop up. Just let them roll there. You know, these universities are top-notch tier 1 universities. And, you know, it just, you know, I just selected a few of those just to point them out, and the you know, the network that they've created. This again is the building. They have the largest auditorium on the campus, and also it is the friendliest building for access, if you will. So keep rolling. You'll have, yeah, that's the auditorium. That auditorium is huge. It's beautiful. But anyway, what the IVMF does is they do policy research. They're a great repository for veteran information, employment, community services. But what we're interested in is this entrepreneurship and small business area. Go ahead. Yeah, and keep going. Yeah. This is the program that we created with them, that it's just one night a week. We know that people are starting their businesses and, you know, or working and starting their businesses. So we structured this where it's one night a week for 10 weeks. At the end of that, you know, you have a pitch. We were able to offer this last, about a month ago, we had our first minnow tank, where we were able to award a total of $18,000 to the top 3, you know, best business ideas and the highest probability of success. So this is what it is. And if we keep going forward, you'll see that this past time we created a veteran women only Stride class. And that has taken off. It was very successful. We have about 15 in each of the classes. We don't want them to get any larger because they're online. And we're already getting them filled up for both the traditional and the women only starts in January. So if anybody's interested, that information will be coming out, or you can reach out to me. So the next step up from the Stride program, and again, your service paid for it, is this Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans, EBV program. If you notice there, it's 30 days online, then a 9-day residency at the school. You can see the success that the graduates have had, and also the locations where they have these programs, the 9-day residency. Keep going. This is the most important part. There's no charge for any of these programs out of Syracuse. We do that on a volunteer basis, and even when you go to the residence, they fly you there. Your travel is covered, your meals are covered, and your housing is covered. And it's not that they put you in, you know, if you're worried about getting back into a 2-man tent or an open bay. No, these are nice hotels they put you in. So keep going. And here's the next one that I think is important, that is changing right now. We'll just keep rolling a little bit faster there. Any veteran is probably aware of the potential for you know, the voc rehab or the VRE benefits with a 10% or more you know, disability rating. Keep rolling there. There's eligibility requirements, but once you get through it, we'll keep going. There, this is the relationship that is coming around. And this is one that I was able to work out with the VRNE in Utah, they are now moving forward with this independent panel idea. But what I'll tell you to do is just I'll talk while you just slowly click away, and it'll show you the relationship. If the veteran comes into the VRNE or the veteran comes into the SBDC, yeah, keep rolling. Yeah, we'll send them over to VRNE because then they get request the self-employment track. The self-employment track has not been used a lot in the past, but there is now a push for VRNE to use that and offer it. If they as the counselors there, they're caseworkers. They've got a ton of cases. They don't have business expertise, so they send them to us, to the SBDCs or the VBRCs, whatever is the appropriate place, and then review the business idea, the plan, and then we make a recommendation back. It's always the decision is in the hands of the VRNE, but we'll make a recommendation, initial recommendation. Then they will assess the background, the business background for that person. If they have enough, then they just go down to the formal review. They stay there. If they don't have enough, they'll come over and they'll take this STRIVE class, which has been approved by VRNE for meeting the requirements of a business education. Keep rolling, and that's the formal review. Okay, so if we put them in the STRIVE program, 10 weeks later, they'll get a certificate. We'll advise VRNE, so then they have whichever direction it came from, they'll begin their formal review. In the meantime, we'll be working with the veteran if they went through STRIVE, or if their background is sufficient, to help them, smooth out and polish up their plan and their financials. So then that can be presented, whether through us, somebody that's gone through us, or the review process where they didn't need us too much. It goes straight into the panel. That panel puts it out of our hands, out of the SBDC's hands, out of the VRNE's hands, and it's an independent panel of business people that have experience in small business, and they will make a recommendation. That recommendation is then goes to the VRNE people. If it's a no, yep, you can keep rolling. If it's a no, it just goes straight back to them. If it's a yes, then they're going to, that's interesting. We're going to complete the documents and then send it over, say the recommendation is a yes, and then VRNE will decide. That's all it is. It's a very simple process, but it's a very effective one that I believe we're seeing already. The VRNE director in Utah is instituting this and creating the independent panel already. So that's it. Peace out. I think that's enough. The only thing I've got is a question or two. If anybody has any, I'm happy to answer them. And there were a couple more slides, but they're not don't have anything. Or we don't need to cover those. So, any questions? Any thoughts, ideas, complaints? Disrespect for gorillas, comments? Nothing.
I have a question, Rick. This is Janine.
Yeah.
Because of course I do. Can you tell us a little bit about what types of business ideas come in through the programs that you're working with? Thinking in particular the STRIVE program, can you give us some examples of types of businesses that have moved through that program successfully?
Well, yeah, the one of the first ones that we were able to work with VRNE on when I was still in Utah was a veteran who was doing editing and production online, and he was kind of soup to nuts doing this. He'd use drones to do videos for resorts, for developers, and for anything, restaurants, whatever. And he was successful, but he couldn't break into the big leagues because his equipment wasn't good enough. So he was just starting out, and we were able to work with VRNE to get him a professional level drone and his upgrade in camera equipment, and he's rolling. He's doing very well, and that was about $20,000 that he was able to get from the VRNE to help him start his business and keep rolling with it. As far as the different types of businesses, I can't imagine a business I haven't worked with. You know, from technology to construction, I've even have currently a veteran in Montana and a veteran in Utah that are starting meaderies. If anybody's aware of mead, is a honey wine. That's the best way to describe it. I knew what mead was, but I never knew anybody, or there was a trend for people to be, starting to look at it and buy it again. So got two vets doing that. Food trucks are popular. There's a lot of money in food trucks, farming, ranching, you name it. We've probably covered it.
That's excellent. Thank you. We do have a couple questions in the chat. First one, are there any waivers if you have been out for more than 12 years?
Not that I'm aware of. That's something that you would have to work out. Again, it's a VRNE issue. You can talk to a couple of people on that. We have no sway in how VRNE works. So the short answer is no, there's no waivers. There's the two different 12-year marks. One is from transition out or your initial disability rating. Either one of those would allow you to, to get the service, VRNE service. If you don't qualify that way, I would, and normally this is a good approach, is to work with the state veteran services. And they tend to have ways to work with the federal government. They may be able to help you out there. There's also American Legion. There's other VSOs, veteran service organizations that can possibly help you out there.
Lovely. Next question. If the panel approves the VRNE beneficiary, what can the process lead to?
Well, that's a good question, because right now there is, well, I mentioned that this individual got $20,000 to purchase equipment. Now, when I say the money is available, it's not that they give you cash and you run away. It's that you give them the list of equipment you want to buy, and they buy that equipment for you. So they don't want, or they're concerned about people that they can't measure as easily as they can with, say, they say there's 5 tracks, but there's really 3 that are important for most of us. One is Chapter 31 can duplicate the post 9/11 benefits and add a little, maybe 3 to 4 months, or maybe even longer, to those education benefits. The other one is an apprenticeship. They will find a company that will hire you, or you find a company, and they will pay the salary to that company for you to learn a trade. In both of those cases, they will know immediately almost whether or not you are still still doing what you're supposed to be doing. The schools will turn you in as soon as you drop a course, or you don't show up for classes. The business owner will turn you in as soon as you don't show up for work. But when is a business successful? It's 2 years, 3 years. That's the reason that it's difficult for them, and they haven't been pushing this as much in the past. There is a mandate now for them to start pushing it and making it available for more veterans. And as I understand from the director of the VRNE in Utah, the regional director, that they are expecting a huge influx because of the the recent influx of disability, requests because of the PACT Act. Sorry, I couldn't remember the act. But the numbers used to be somewhere around $25,000 on the regional level. Then it would have to be approved in DC, but we understand that's probably going to be going up.
Great. Any other questions for Rick about
Excuse
VBOT
me,
programs? Yeah.
one other thing, I apologize. Everyone knows how fast and incredibly fast the VA is in their responses. So don't count on this money, in the next week or month or 2 months. You can get the approval pretty quickly, but as far as the money coming, it does take a while. So just be aware of that. 6 months or up 12 months. It's all depends on the process they go through and the approval process that has to go all the way to DC. I would believe that's going to be smoothing out also, but I can't promise that.
Great. That's a really good reminder. We say that a lot in our Apex work too. You want to sell to the government, like this is a long game, right? It's not get rich quick. That's not what we're doing when we're selling to the government 9 times out of 10. So
right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you don't need to show anything. That's
resources. That's all good though.
You can skip all that. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, I like, it's mesmerizing, Rick. I
like
it.
But I prepared it for another
like get through it.
When I was in Utah. It'll finish up here.
Oh, okay, here we go.
There you go. That's it. That's the end, I think.
Lovely. Okay. So I am going to stop my share now. For the next part of our time together, we actually have 2 special guests, folks who have given it a go, starting their own businesses as veterans. So I want to welcome Adam Polly and Dustin Frost to the call. And if we could just begin maybe with you, Adam, if you could just give us a little bit of an intro to who you are and what business you've started and how long you've been in business, what you do, all those fun things.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. So I guess to start off, our business is Symmetry Trailers. You can kind of look at the website if you guys are on a computer and you want to look at that. It's simtrailers.com. Give you a good idea, a little bit more of a visual of what we do, because sometimes it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't seen what the types of trailers that we do. We started back in 2017. I was actually a teacher at that point. I taught at the middle school level, and I taught woods and metals and welding. Within that program, we got a little bit of leeway to be able to build some classes the way that we wanted to, and so we ended up building in a very short version of the story. We ended up building an entrepreneur class for the students, and within that, I started to kind of drink the Kool-Aid, I guess, and learn some of the aspects of entrepreneurialism and go to some conferences, business conferences, and through that, I started to come up with my own ideas, and on my evenings and weekends and summers while I was teaching, started building some of these trailers. At the same time, there was a kind of a movement in the off-road community, the camping community, called overlanding. A lot of you have probably seen like the rooftop tents on top of Jeeps, Toyotas, 4Runners, things like that. And so jumped in, started looking at the trailers, the costs on those, and realizing with my skill set, I was able to build that type of trailer for a much lower cost and be able to sell that direct to consumer. And so I built one actually while I was teaching in the same shop, turned around, sold that to a customer in California, built a couple more, and then started taking orders for custom builds. And then in must have been fall of 2019, we jumped in on the startup challenge here locally through the university. And there's about 50 contestants in that with different businesses. And through all that, we ended up getting first place in it, which gave us some funding to be able to buy CNC Plaza, which was the one thing that we were outsourcing quite a bit and spending a lot of money on. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, As a teacher, I was teaching online and kind of stuck at home. And so, but at the same time, I'm starting to get orders for trailers. And at that point, I had to make a decision to either step out of teaching and go full time, or kind of slow down the business. And with the way the business is going, my thought was, let's go ahead and jump off and try this. And so we've been doing it for 6 years now. We've got 2 employees at this point. We've moved shop 3 times because we just kept expanding and taking on bigger orders for trailers. We started off in the overland community with the camp trailers, kind of a small off-road design. At this point, we've got 2 of our own models that we sell, and here in the next 6 months, we're coming out with 2 more. We've also expanded into the manufacturing market. The fact that we're a licensed trailer manufacturer and we create our own bins and are licensed through NHTSA, we are able to do just about any type of trailer. And we've expanded into enclosed trailers. We've expanded into full-on teardrops and RVs. We've gotten into some industrial style trailers for the oil field and started to do some manufacturing there. We've got customers all across the country, coast to coast. We sold in California to Connecticut to Florida and everything in between. We've used, I know Drew wanted me to talk a little bit about what we've used the SBA for. We've accessed financing through them a couple different times now, where our bank here locally, Platte Valley Bank, they work with the SBA to be able to cover half that loan. The SBA will cover up to half of it for them. And so that's gave us an opportunity to be able to access that financing where we wouldn't be able to get that before. So.
Great, thank you. I put your website into the chat and I was looking around. There's a whole lot of cool stuff out there. So thank you. That's going to be a fun internet black hole for me to go down later. Looking at your website. And while I look forward to that, Dustin, I don't want to be biased, but you know, we worked together back in the day when you were VBOCing around before Rick showed up. But tell us a little bit about what you've done since then. It's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's only been since March, but I think anybody that's been in business ownership, like it's like dog years, right? The time just it feels like about 10 years in the last however many months that we've been at this thing. But yeah, I'm Dustin Frost, own partner here and vice president at Legacy Irrigation in Sheridan. I had previously been in Rick's job running the Veteran Business Outreach Center, and was excited that Rick decided to jump on board and take over there because we just had the opportunity to work together so closely when he was down in Utah, and I think is really going to take that program to great places. Just as a reminder, I think the point of all of this, and frankly, you probably all are get bonus points in attending this today, is that like if you're looking at business ownership, if you've got a business, like just don't do it alone, I think is the point. And I think the really awesome opportunity you've got here today is to see the people behind the program, you know, the acronym, the whatever name that, you know, the Apex Accelerator, the whatever those names are. Like that's great that the program exists, but there's actual like human beings here pretty close to you geographically who care and want to help out. So that's my plug, I guess, for the programs. But back to our story, our business. So I had previously owned a couple of businesses in the past. I had started actually a political consulting business years ago, had that. So had been in sort of the startup world, and in that space had also acquired a print shop and then sold that. I don't know, it's been 6-7 years ago now. And then ran the Veteran Business Outreach Center program, but had the itch, the bug to get back into business ownership. My former next door neighbor and now business partner is Kevin Beagle, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel who got out of the Army and moved next door to me. And I served in the the Army National Guard, and so had a much shorter career than he did. But we connected certainly based on that service, and then also the interest in business ownership, as he had started his own business as he got out of as he retired from the military. And was able to sell that right around the same time that I sold mine, I guess maybe a little bit after that. So got to know him, and then we said, hey, we kind of want to get back into business ownership and find a business to acquire. So we started looking together at businesses really throughout the region, and happened upon this business here in Sheridan that does irrigation products, parts, pieces, designs, pivot systems, side roll irrigation, it kind of in everything in between when it comes to putting water on the ground to grow mostly hay up in this area anyway. And so that's what we've been up to since March. We found this business, an existing business that had been around for 40-ish years, the family business that had been started here, and 8 employees, and have been running since then. So yeah, that's a little bit of my my background and what I'm up to now.
Great, excellent. I think you're exactly right. The days are long and the first year's long. All right.
Yeah,
The business
yeah.
ownership.
And just so you know, like if you think that so we sort of had in our minds, and I've been through this before, I don't know why I'd forgotten it, but we had in our minds that we didn't want to do a startup business because that's way too much work. And then we remembered that even acquiring a business, well, you really do have a startup business. There are a lot of similarities between a startup and really acquiring something else. So anyway, yeah, it's Rick always used to say at classes in Utah that we worked at that he never met a guy. I'm going to mutilate your quote, but never met a successful business owner who, when they got done with it, looked back and said, "Oh, that was easier than I thought it was going to be." And I can certainly relate to that message.
But fantastic. And I have one question to kind of kick off a conversation, and then I know Drew, you might have a couple of questions, and also want to introduce yourself. But what I would just ask of both of you, and it doesn't matter who goes first, Adam or Dustin, but if there were one piece of advice you could give to yourself before you jumped into this business, what would it be? What do you wish you had known about business ownership, or starting a business, or keeping it going, or anything related to that?
I'll jump in and say that support. I had no idea that the support that was available. It would have made it a lot easier, and I would have made fewer mistakes. I think there's a lot of wealth in the SBDCs, the Apex accelerators, even for veterans, that you do have that support where people can steer you the right direction. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Adam,
I'll
did
kind of piggyback off that same thing. The amount of support, and I forget about it sometimes because you kind of get isolated in your own little world, and you feel like you're kind of on an island and you just got to take care of it yourself. But even having Drew come in yesterday and talking to him, and just some of the resources that are available that I didn't realize were out there, I got to remember to be able to reach out and check on those every so often, just so I know what's going on and what's available. I mean, it's what got us kicked off and started, and then once we got going on our own, sometimes you isolate yourself. But yeah, there's a lot of resources out there available. So
yeah, I'll just say ditto maybe to that point. We all think we're unique, in that those programs or whatever are for somebody else, right? And so you just decide I'm going to do it myself, and I like bury myself in Googling things into the wee hours of the night, to try to find an answer to my thing, or trying to dig around to, what's the unique funding program for veteran-owned small businesses that's gonna give me a leg up, when instead I could just spend some time on the phone. Up here I've worked with the SBDC up here, and specifically that we were talking about after acquiring the business and getting an SBA 7A loan for that, you also worry about that you're pretty well tapped out, right? We just bought this business, and of course they don't finance everything, not 100% of that project, and so you're pretty well tapped out for financing options and for money out of your own pocket. And we were concerned, and frankly, thankfully, we were blessed enough that didn't need to use this, I guess, yet. I'll knock on wood. But we were trying to figure out, how do we get a little bit more of a line of credit to just help with some of those initial operating costs. And it was difficult to find. And so I got on the phone. I was driving to Billings at like 4:30 on a Friday. And I don't know why I decided that it would be okay to call the SBDC at 4:30 on a Friday, but I did. I called PJ up here, and I was like, and I was specifically asking about, Wyoming has a very unique, there's one loan program through the state that I thought might fit us, that was like a working capital loan. And she's like, why don't she was more polite than this, but she's like, dude, why didn't you talk to your bank and specifically give them what it is that you're doing? Like, I feel like that there are that's what did she call it, and we ended up getting it. It's a contract line of credit, right, that basically was based on that, right? So we're purchasing these big pivots is what the need was. And she's like, why don't you just ask them? And I asked them, and about a week later we got approved for a line of credit. So just that like different perspective that can come from asking for help, from getting out of your office, getting away from your computer screen, and just talking to someone. So sorry, I went off on a rant, but that's I think you're hearing the same message from everybody.
That was an excellent rant, A+ on the rant scale. Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity also to segue to Drew. Drew, if you want to hop on, and you're with the Wyoming District Office of the Small Business Administration. Adam made mention that you were hanging out with him. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and any other perspectives you might have on this conversation.
So my perspective is that, and coming into the role of the business development specialist in the Wyoming District Office, bringing all the resources and making them available to the veterans and the entire communities. One of the things that I've kind of seen lacking for my personal experience was to get into this referral cycle and really not get any help. So making sure that everyone knows the resources and actually gets the help that they need, that's what we're aiming for. Like when Adam wanted to expand his business, we're going over the options with that. It's just about outreach. I'm going to be working close with Rick and you, Janine, to get as much out there as we can to make a lot of things happen in Wyoming, to diversify the economy and just help all the small businesses that we can.
Fantastic. And thank you so much, Deb, for putting information in about Thursday's meeting. yeah, we're going to keep rolling on Thursday. I get to talk to you a little bit about government contracting. I promise it's more interesting than it sounds when you hear government contracting. I swear it's fun. So come back for that. And then Drew is also going to walk us through certifications, and we're going to have a woman, small business owner, a veteran-owned small business owner. I think she's just chiming in to talk a little bit about her experience with that certification process, being certified as a veteran-owned small business. And I think I remember Dustin, did Legacy get certified as a veteran-owned small business?
Yeah, and service disabled veteran-owned small business. Yeah, another of those ask for help things. So reached out to Janine with help with that whole process. And yeah, we're certified as a service disabled veteran-owned small business. And I think so. One thing I think you should be thinking about in your business as to whether or not to do that or why to do that. I think several advantages. One could be in government contracting, but I think we've also seen just a benefit that people want to do business with veteran-owned businesses. There's a lot of our customers that just appreciate that knowing that, hey, these two random guys from Montana, by the way, who come in and buy a business that, these are farmers, ranchers that have been working with the previous owners of this business for 40 years. And now there's these two dudes from Montana who show up and buy this thing. Like, I don't know if I really trust them. You got to give me more of your background and story. And I think that that communicating that in whether it's on our website, emails, really, we sent a mailing out to all of our customers at the beginning that gave us our backgrounds and put that certification really front and center. I think it helped us also from that marketing standpoint. It also resulted, although I don't know if it wasn't what we ended up getting a government contract recently, and which was a big win. I still am needing and going to be reaching out more to Janine and Apex Accelerator to figure out how to do that world better. But we were successful in getting one contract. It wasn't a set aside for veteran-owned businesses, but we were able to compete and get a pretty substantial contract. So a nice little bonus for us, and first toe tap into the contracting space.
That's excellent. Adam, is certification something you've considered yet at Symmetry?
That's actually what Drew and I have been talking about, and kind of getting the process started on that. So.
Awesome.
So I just want to jump in real quick, Janine. This is Deb Ferris with the SBA. The reason I think it's really important to talk about certifications right now is because come January, it will be required. And so if you can get your application in sooner than later, then they're processing those applications. I don't know what your experience was, Dustin. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but they were processing those in 4 to 6 weeks. I think after January, when the push really hits to make that a requirement, because they postponed it for 1 year, kind of gave everybody a grace period. But once that January 1st date comes, you're going to be in line with a lot of people, right? And so SBA is not any different than a small business. If you don't have the people to staff the applications, the processing time takes longer. So if you're even considering it, now is the time to start your paperwork. And Drew will be talking about that tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thursday, we will go over all of that. I want to open it up. We have a few more minutes left. Any of our attendees on the line, do you have any questions for any of us that are here today, especially Adam, Rick, or Dustin, anything in regards to small business ownership, starting your own small business, programs for veterans that we maybe touched on that you have more questions about. This is a wonderful time to ask those, and you can unmute and just ask. You're welcome to put questions in the chat or into the Q&A box. We don't stand on formality here at the Wyoming Apex. So feel free to ask. And while people are thinking about their questions, I might just ask, especially you three, Rick, Dustin, and Adam, if you had any parting words for someone who is thinking about making that leap into small business ownership, or thinking like Adam did, and Dustin really too, jumping out and making it your full-time gig, right? Like, it's one thing to have a side hustle, and it's something totally different to really just take that leap and say, okay, I'm going to put all my efforts into this. And I know we've talked about finding support, and I think that that's awesome. And we know that there are lots and lots of good programs out there to assist. And some of them are not veteran specific, right? Like, there are some veteran specific programs, but also, yeah, your SBDC, they're going to help any small business in their region. Apex, we're going to help any small business in Wyoming who wants to sell to the government. There's the Women's Business Center. And fun fact about the Women's Business Center, you don't actually have to be a woman to work with the Women's Business Center. Counterintuitive, but there it is. Anyone can reach out to the Women's Business Center, for example. But any other words of wisdom, encouragement, inspiration for those folks that are thinking about taking the leap, but it just feels kind of scary right now?
Maybe just that that the leap doesn't feel like as much of a leap if you're planning, and that isn't belittling it. Like, it's still really friggin' hard, and there's a lot of I'm sleeping a lot better now. Things are going good now, but yeah, those first few months there wasn't much sleep. So it was really, really hard, but maybe that's what the point I would make. I just saw a guy this weekend at church that I had worked with when I was at the VBOC. And I worked with him, and he got some financing and he started a business, but I found out this week that he had to close that business too. Right. So I want to be clear, like, there's a lot of, if you do the work ahead of time and maybe figure out how it is that that failure could happen, that will help to eliminate some of those risks. You're not going to not eliminate those risks, decrease those risks when you go into business. And so asking those questions, getting with a guy, I mean, like Rick, working with Rick and sending so many vets in Utah to him, like, that guy's been around the block. And I'm not saying you're old, Rick. That wasn't my point. Rick has just done a lot and been around a lot of different businesses. And it's nice to just have another perspective on your numbers, right? Or on your value proposition in your business, whatever that looks like. Like, just reach out and do that before you take the leap all by yourself.
That's excellent advice.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing my age. But you know what? If you stick around long enough, you do run into a lot of different issues. The thing I would say is it's kind of twofold. One is nobody goes into business to lose money. So to say that, oh, my passion is making money, well, that's a part of being an entrepreneur. But if you have something there that is your passion, that you find in Adam, working with your hands, doing the things that you were doing before, it's kind of it keeps you going, rather than just, okay, well, I'm going to go into some business because it's the one that's going to offer the most money. Now, if you're in there and you're working, it's your passion, then you're going to put in the time. You're going to not get as tired trying to do the work. So I think that's a critical part of being successful and just sticking with it. And you know, one of the things I always remember about the difference between success and or someone who's successful and somebody that doesn't make it is just that little bit. It's hanging on to that cliff a little bit longer than anybody else. And then the breaks will come. So perseverance, that's a key.
Yeah, I just in my work with small business owners, I can concur. A tenacity is one of the key qualities I think a business owner needs. And I know Adam, you might have some insight as well. And we have a question in the chat to both Adam and Dustin. So maybe Adam wants to start off. Ryan asks, with Wyoming having a smaller population, what do you guys do to find customers? I have a small CNC machine shop and feel like I struggle to find new customers. And thanks for doing this. Yeah, what do you think, Adam? How do you find those new customers?
So Ryan, we're kind of in a unique opportunity with what we're doing because with overlanding being kind of a nationwide fad for a little while, it's starting to dip a little bit, but right around COVID, we kind of got catapulted really quickly because of a unique set of circumstances with everybody being closed in and not be able to travel, not be able to go where they want to. Everybody was getting kind of stir crazy, and overlanding provided that isolated camping experience, and so it kind of catapulted us. But to talk to your point, Drew and I were just talking about this yesterday, in the fact that probably about 75 or 80% of our customers are outside the state. So we do quite a bit. Social media obviously has been a big part of our growth. Our website. We've done a lot of trade shows, all the way from Virginia to Arizona to there's one in Colorado that we attend. Missouri we've been to quite a few times, and that connects us with our customers. And so I think the combination of having a unique product and then just reaching out and getting to those types of trade shows has made it to where we've got customers all over the country. So.
That's great. Dustin, any thoughts?
Yeah, it was good answers there, Adam. I think as well, one thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to new customers and growth, especially being this this agriculture community, very small agriculture community. I mean, relatively small. The numbers of customers, you know, is very small. Is how to put it? The thing that I'm hoping anyway, that this is the right pathway, is being okay with having some wasted meetings, right? And so I'm like realizing that there's times where I'm going to go to the thing, you know, the little event, the thing the chamber's doing, the whatever that looks like, and that sometimes that later on, I've only been at this for 6 months now. Later on, I'm going to know that, hey, that one was a wasted meeting, but being okay with that and just saying, hey, the way for me to find the new customer, the place where my customers are at is to just do more of them, and to be okay with that. Hey, this one, well, it turned out it wasn't right for me. But I've learned something. Then I can move on to the next one and then find those opportunities, and have found some. So I think that's been one aspect. I think also we've been surprised at in the rural community that we're in. I mentioned earlier, yeah, we're doing email, we're some Facebook marketing. Everybody, if my market was a younger audience, I probably wouldn't be doing Facebook marketing. But man, there's a lot of, they won't admit it to you, but there's a lot of like 60-year-old ranchers that are hanging out too much on Facebook. So I'm finding a little bit of opportunity there with just throwing $100 of Facebook ads in, and throwing some maybe unique little products, the unique little things that we've got in the shop that might appeal to them, that maybe they just don't know that we have here. So those have been working. And direct mail also. That's one, and that could be my bias coming from a guy who used to own a print shop and a mail shop. But we found some significant success with that, with just talking to some local marketing experts and folks that have some lists and that kind of thing to be communicating in that way too. So 2 thoughts there.
Real fast, I just add one thing that Dustin actually brought up is it used to be very difficult to start a business. Now it's very, very easy, which means there's a lot of people out there that appear to be real but aren't. So clarity of your message is one thing, but a unique value proposition, something that's going to make you stand out, is extremely important in this market in today's world. So get with the SBDC, or the Veteran Business Resource Centers, whomever, but try to work hard on creating a unique value proposition.
Yeah, good call. Be like Adam. Like his business, that is an excellent definition of a value proposition. And that means solving problems for customers, right? That doesn't mean being a solution. That means finding the problem, then creating a solution.
Yeah, and the idea is to not only have it, but you have to get that word to your client or your potential customer. So that's your marketing effort. And that's what Dustin was talking about. You have to target, not waste your money in marketing. So yeah.
And that might be one thing that Ryan, is a CNC shop. We work with quite a few CNC shops here in town. Being open to and flexible to different ideas than what you're used to. Again, I keep referring to Drew, but Drew and I were having the conversation yesterday about, are we really locked down into the types of trailers we build, or are we open to other types of trailers, or even to other parts of the industry where we would fit into? And being flexible, that's really allowed us to grow. If we just stuck to the overland trailers, we'd still be a pretty small shop. But here just recently with we've had some people come to us and some companies come to us. Well, for example, we've got a company in Colorado that saw one of our trailer designs, one of our models, and wanted to modify it and turn it into, they build a outdoor pizza oven, and they wanted to build it, a trailer, modify one of our trailers to fit that oven on top to basically make a food cart that you could take out to games and stuff. So us allowing us to be pretty flexible within that arena and kind of think outside the box has allowed us a lot of different opportunities there. So.
Wow, really good advice. Yeah, I really am so grateful to this entire panel for being here today. I feel like we just got rolling, but what a good conversation. We put the registration link for Thursday. It's basically the same place that you registered for today. You can go out and choose Thursday's meeting if you want to come talk to us about selling goods or services to the government. Again, it's more fun than it sounds. And we're also going to talk a little bit more detail about that veteran certification program that you can sign up for, that Dustin was mentioning, that can have some benefits for government contracting and can have some benefits outside of government contracting. So if you're interested in that, let us know. And just as a reminder, here at the Wyoming Apex Accelerator, we help all small businesses located in Wyoming with free and confidential assistance selling goods or services to the government. So anytime you have questions about that, please give me a call. And I like how Rick said your service paid for our service. Yes. I usually tell people I'm already paid for by your tax dollars, so you might as well just call me, right? Like, we're here. And here's some of our contact information. I've got Deb here because she will always be the OG partner in crime for us at the Wyoming SBA District Office. And then myself, the program manager of the Apex, and then Sarah Mikesel-Growney, who's not on the line today because I sent her to Washington, D.C. To hobnob with all the other Apexes across the country and the Department of Defense. So she's gathering up all that intel. She's going to bring it back here to Wyoming so we can help our small businesses. But please don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything at all. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for your service. all of you who served. And yes, CD, there is an Apex Accelerator, thank you, located in every single state and most territories. There's actually, I think, 80 some Apex Accelerators in the country. Fun trivia though. The Wyoming Apex Accelerator holds the distinction of being the only 2-person program that serves an entire state. So we have that claim to fame. But there are Apex Accelerators all over the country, and we are plugged into that whole network. So often if I have a question from one of my clients about selling something interesting to the government, I've never dealt with it before, I can reach out to that vast network of other Apexes, and somebody somewhere has helped somebody do it. So we all talk to each other. There's an awful lot of knowledge out there just waiting for you to learn. All right, anything else for the good of the order before we let you go on about your day? Getting some thank yous from folks. You're welcome, you're welcome. All right, well, thank you so much to our panelists, our presenters. So glad you're here. Again, thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Week, we're just gonna call it that. And we'll see everybody back on Thursday, I hope. All right, peace out, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.